Chapter 27 of the Pathfinder. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. This recording is by Mark Smith of Simpsonville, South Carolina. The Pathfinder by James Fenimore Cooper. Chapter 27. The only amaranthian flower on earth is virtue. The only lasting treasure, truth. Attributed to Cowper. The reader must imagine some of the occurrences that followed the sudden death of Muir. While his body was in the hands of his soldiers, who laid it decently aside and covered it with a greatcoat, Chingachgook silently resumed his place at the fire, and both Sanglier and Pathfinder remarked that he carried a fresh and bleeding scalp at his girdle. No one asked any questions, and the former, although perfectly satisfied that Arrowhead had fallen, manifested neither curiosity nor feeling. He continued calmly eating his soup, as if the meal had been tranquil as usual. There was something of pride and of an assumed indifference to fate, imitated from the Indians, in all this, and there was more that really resulted from practice, habitual self-command, and constitutional hardihood. With Pathfinder the case was a little different in feeling, though much the same in appearance. He disliked Muir, whose smooth-tongued courtesy was little in accordance with his own frank and ingenuous nature; but he had been shocked at this unexpected and violent death, though accustomed to similar scenes, and he had been surprised at the exposure of his treachery. With a view to ascertain the extent of the latter, as soon as the body was removed, he began to question the captain on the subject. The latter, having no particular motive for secrecy now that his agent was dead, in the course of the breakfast revealed the following circumstances, which will serve to clear up some of the minor incidents of our tale. Soon after the 55th appeared on the frontiers, Muir had volunteered his services to the enemy. In making his offers, he boasted of his intimacy with Lundy, and the means it afforded of furnishing more accurate and important information than usual. His terms had been accepted, and Monsieur Sanglier had several interviews with him in the vicinity of the fort at Oswego, and had actually passed one entire night secreted in the garrison. Arrowhead, however, was the usual channel of communication, and the anonymous letter to Major Duncan had been originally written by Muir, transmitted to Frontenac, copied, and sent back by the Tuscarora, who was returning from that errand when captured by the Scud. It is scarcely necessary to add that Jasper was to be sacrificed in order to conceal the quartermaster's treason, and that the position of the island had been betrayed to the enemy by the latter. An extraordinary compensation, that which was found in his purse, had induced him to accompany the party under Sergeant Dunham, in order to give the signals that were to bring on the attack. The disposition of Muir towards the sex was a natural weakness, and he would have married Mabel, or any one else who would accept his hand, but his admiration of her was in a great degree feigned, in order that he might have an excuse for accompanying the party without sharing in the responsibility of its defeat, or incurring the risk of having no other strong and seemingly sufficient motive. Much of this was known to Captain Sanglier, particularly the part in connection with Mabel, and he did not fail to let his auditors into the whole secret, frequently laughing in a sarcastic manner as he revealed the different expedients of the luckless quartermaster. "Touchez là," said the cold-blooded partisan, holding out his sinewy hand to Pathfinder, when he ended his explanations. "You be honnête, and dat is beaucoup. We take de spy as we take la médecin for de good, mais je le déteste. Touchez là." "I'll shake your hand, Captain, I will, for you're a lawful and natural enemy," returned Pathfinder, "and a manful one. But the body of the quartermaster shall never disgrace English ground. I did intend to carry it back to Lundy that he might place his bagpipes over it, but now it shall lie here on the spot where he acted his villainy, and have his own treason for a headstone. Captain Flintyheart, I suppose this consorting with traitors is a part of a soldier's regular business, but I tell you honestly, it is not to my liking, and I'd rather it should be you than I who had this affair on his conscience. What an awful sinner! to plot right and left, agin country, friends, and the Lord. Jasper, boy, a word with you aside, for a single minute." Jasper now led the young man apart, and, squeezing his hand, with the tears in his own eyes, he continued: "You know me, Eau douce, and I know you," said he, "and this news has not changed my opinion of you in any manner. I never believed their tales, though it looked solemn at one minute, I will own. Yes, it did look solemn, and it made me feel solemn too. I never suspected you for a minute, for I know your gifts don't lie that-a-way, but I must own I didn't suspect the quartermaster neither."
"And he holding the Majesty's commission, Pathfinder."
"It isn't so much that, Jasper Western. It isn't so much that. He held a commission from God to act right, and to deal fairly with his fellow creatures, and he's failed awfully in his duty."
"To think of his pretending love for one like Mabel, too, when he felt none."
"That was bad, sartainly. The fellow must have had Mingo blood in his veins. The man that deals unfairly by a woman can be but a mongrel, lad, for the Lord has made them helpless on purpose that we may gain their love by kindness and sarvices. Here is the Sergeant, poor man, on his dying bed. He has given me his daughter for a wife, and Mabel, dear girl, she has consented to it, and it makes me feel that I have two welfares to look after, two natures to care for, and two hearts to gladden. Ah's me, Jasper, I sometimes feel that I'm not good enough for that sweet child." Eau douce had nearly gasped for breath when he first heard this intelligence, and though he succeeded in suppressing any other outward signs of agitation, his cheek was blanched nearly to the paleness of death. Still he found means to answer, not only with firmness but with energy.
"Say not so, Pathfinder. You are good enough for a queen."
"Ay, ay, boy, according to your ideas of my goodness; that is to say, I can kill a deer, or even a Mingo, at need, with any man on the lines; or I can follow a forest path with as true an eye, or read the stars, when others do not understand them. No doubt, Mabel will have venison enough, and fish enough, and pigeons enough. But will she have knowledge enough, and will she have ideas enough, and pleasant conversation enough, when life comes to drag a little, and each of us begins to pass for our true value?"
"If you pass for your value, Pathfinder, the greatest lady in the land would be happy with you. On that head you have no reason to feel afraid."
"Now, Jasper, I dare to say you think so; nay, I know you do, for it is natural, and according to friendship, for people to look over favorably at them they love. Yes, if I had to marry you, boy, I should give myself no consarn about my being well looked upon, for you have always shown a disposition to see me and all I do with friendly eyes. But a young gal, after all, must wish to marry a man that is nearer to her own age and fancies than to have one old enough to be her father, and rude enough to frighten her. I wonder, Jasper, that Mabel never took a fancy to you now, rather than setting her mind on me."
"Take a fancy to me, Pathfinder!" returned the young man, endeavoring to clear his voice without betraying himself. "What is there about me to please such a girl as Mabel Dunham? I have all that you find fault with in yourself, with none of that excellence that makes even the generals respect you."
Well, it's all chance, say what we will about it. Here have I journeyed and guided through the woods female after female, and consorted with them in the garrisons, and never have I even felt an inclination for any, until I saw Mabel Dunham. It's true the poor Sergeant first set me to thinking about his daughter, but after we got a little acquainted like, I'd no need of being spoken to think of her night and day. I'm tough, Jasper, yes, I'm very tough, and I'm resolute enough, as you all know, and yet I do think it would quite break me down now to lose Mabel Dunham."
"We will talk no more of it, Pathfinder,"
returning his friend's squeeze of the hand, and moving back towards the fire, though slowly, and in the manner of one who cared little where he went.
"We will talk no more of it. You are worthy